We all install multiple applications on our devices today, and all of them give you login credentials. And the login credentials basically involve a password, and they suggest that you have a strong password, which should be at least 8 characters long, should have one capital letter, should have one number, and should have at least one special character. And to top it up, they say that you should not have the same password across multiple platforms. And to complicate it further, they also say that at least in net banking, you need to keep changing your password every 3 months, and you cannot even recycle your password. All these passwords they recommend should not be saved onto your PC, because if it's hacked, then it obviously compromises all your password. तो कोई कुछ करे तो क्या करे यार? Hi, my name is Deepak and I run a company called Nurture IT, which focuses on bringing the right IT and telecom solutions to startups and scaling up SMBs. A lot of people often wonder whether this entire fuss about password is blown out of proportions. Is it really required to maintain so many standards? Actually, yes. According to data, 40% of data breaches that have happened in 2019 happened on account of password compromising. It was an astounding 4 billion passwords that were leaked just in the first 6 months of 2019. And this figure is only increasing by the second and by the day. And when your passwords get leaked, it's not just your password. There's a lot of other information, which could be your name, your address, your date of birth, your gender, and sometimes even your contact numbers and your bank credentials. Before we get into how you can safeguard, manage, and protect so many passwords, let's first understand why these hackers are so interested in your password. What's in it for them? I mean, do they derive any benefit by making all these efforts? Let's look first at your banking password. As is common practice, as I said earlier, we all use a common password across multiple platforms. And so if there is a password that you're using in another platform which is the same as your net banking, say for example you were using Truecaller, there is a suspected breach that happened last year of a couple of million records of Truecaller's identities. So if your password was the same as your net banking, do I need to say more? What also happens is that we all have installed CCTVs at our houses and our offices, right? And they also provide you an app where you can do a remote access and view, probably if you are looking, if you've left your loved ones at home, you want to check on them, they give you a remote access. Now, a leakage of this access credentials can make the criminals keep an eye on you, on your whereabouts, your movements. And so if you, for example, going on a holiday, it gives them that opportunity to plan a break-in into your own houses. There are so many other ways that your password leakage can be misused. Some of the other types are medical, criminal, or even child identity theft. Hackers use a technique called brute force, wherein they use bots to keep guessing the type of passwords that you're using. And what they normally do is to try the weak strings that you would use, which could involve your name or your spouse's or your kid's name, could involve your date of birth, etc. These are normally called weak strings. You'd be surprised that people still have passwords like 123 or your name with 123. And this is why it is always recommended to have a strong password which is at least 8 characters long. The need for 8 characters is basically because it gives you a combination of 221 trillion combinations. Before you derive any solace from this, there are bots that can guess up to 10 billion passwords per second. So if your password just gets enhanced from 8 to 12 characters, then it gives an option of 3 sextillion options, which can take up to about a few hundred years to crack. And hence it's recommended to obviously have a 12-digit password. Having said that, it's obviously impossible to remember so many 12-digit passwords, right? And which is what has led to different ways of managing these passwords. The first one is called password managers, and the second one is called single sign-on options. Let's look at them one by one. I'm sure at least the Chrome users would have come across this message that pops up which says, do you want to save this password? Or you would get an option called Remember Me. These are Google's version of password management, and they come with something called a smart lock feature. Now, all the browsers today have this option, whether you're using Navigator or Safari or Firefox. All the browsers today come with these options. This would work very well because what it happens is it saves your password when you're logging into any of the websites, and it will auto-populate the login credentials the next time that you are doing it, provided you allow it to save it. It gives you an option whether you want to save it or you don't want to save it. So it's your choice to make. This will work only if it is a website or a web application. This will not work if you have installed applications like Facebook or Instagram kind of things on your desktop. Most antiviruses also have a similar password management feature that they've started offering now, and that's an option that you could look at. The next type are applications which are specially designed only to manage your password. These are called password managers. You have the likes of 1Password, then you have LastPass, Dashlane, and you also have some free options called like Bitwarden. What these basically do is they create one strong, unique password for every application that you use. They store all these passwords in one database, and to access this database, obviously you need 1Password, and that is 1Password that you will have to remember. So that makes it less complicated because you're using just 1Password. What these password managers also do is they keep scanning the dark web and other places where your passwords, the breached passwords are being stolen, and then they immediately send you a notification if they find that your email ID or your credentials are amongst those breached data, and they immediately prompt you to change your password. This seems easy, right? But just ensure that if you use the application across multiple devices like your laptop, your phone, your tab, you will need to install these across multiple devices, all the devices that you access that application. You also have enterprise versions, you have family packs that are available. So whatever route that you decide to take amongst the options that I've shared with you, one thing you need to take care for sure is to use a two-factor authentication. What this basically does is, for example, Google Chrome or Facebook, all of them give you this option where you just don't enter your password. After you enter the right password, it will also send you an OTP through an SMS, or you can even have a call-in facility where it will give you a unique one-time password that you need to enter, and only after that does it allow you to log in. So in the eventuality of your password getting breached, the hacker will still not have access to your account because they will not have access to your phone. The second option that I spoke to you about is the single sign-on options. I'm sure you would have seen this screen earlier in some of the applications that you use. Thanks to OAuth or Open Authorization, what you need to do is just remember 1Password, and the service provider will then be able to give you access using other service providers. Open Authorization is a concept that was developed in 2010, and of course it's evolved over the years, and this has been initially conceptualized by the likes of Twitter and Google. What this basically does is, assuming you want to sign up for a new service provider, say Swiggy, and you obviously don't want to give create one more login credential. So what you can do is, below you will see a few service providers whom they are associated with. Say it could be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any of these guys. And assuming you are a Facebook user, all you need to do is click on that icon. It will take you to the login page of Facebook. And once you enter your credentials there, Facebook is going to report back to Swiggy saying that I have validated this user and he's good to go. And immediately you will be able to access your Swiggy account. This seems pretty easy also, right? For all of this, of course, you need to remember one password. But what if there is a technology which doesn't even need you to remember even a signal password? So, na rahegi baas, na bajegi basuri, right? So that's a new concept that is being developed, which is passwordless logging. How this works is, there are companies like Magic Links which have already developed this kind of a product, and this uses blockchain technology, and it's obviously very secure because it works on a blockchain. How this works is that assuming you want to log into, say again, Swiggy, and they are associated with Magic Links, the moment you click on that, it will send you a magic link to your registered email ID. So the moment you click on that link, it will automatically authorize you to be able to log into the Swiggy application. This is obviously an evolving technology. There's a lot of work which is happening on that. In fact, we even have a Desi company called Hypermind, which is working to bring this technology to users like us. There are, of course, enterprise versions of password management also available. You have the likes of Secret Double Octopus, then you have RSA. Microsoft also has some solutions. So I do hope the solution, whatever I have shared with you today, are useful for you. And do remember, there is no 100% foolproof solution. So based on your risk appetite and sensitivity of your data, you can choose what fits you best. But one thing I would strongly recommend is to use a two-factor authentication, at least as far as your login is concerned. So if you're curious or probably even psyched after all the amount of data breaches that I've spoken about or what you read about, and want to know if your credentials have ever been compromised, just go to this website called Have I Been Pwned? Enter your email ID and it will automatically give you the details of whether your email ID has been compromised and which are the service providers where it's been compromised. So if you need to figure out what is the right solution that is relevant to you, you know whom to reach out to. Stay safe and good luck.